Maid of Sker, a first-person survival horror game created by indie studio developer Wales Interactive, who are most famously known for creating such games as The Light Shift and Don't Knock Twice. The game came out in July of 2020 to somewhat mixed reviews. But hey, this is not a Let's Play, this is not a review, this is simply a story summary of Maid of Sker. So you play as Thomas Evans, a composer who was sent a letter from his lover Elizabeth Williams. In the letter, she asked Thomas to compose a counter melody for the song that plays in her mother's locket. She's also been trapped in the hotel by her father for not singing the song he wants. He wants her to sing country, she wants to sing reggae. Anyways, she asks you to come to the hotel so you can bust her out. After getting off the train and realizing you're the only one on it, presumably because it's 1898 and everyone was too busy being racist, Thomas then makes his way to the main entrance but finds the gate is locked and is forced to take a detour. He takes this time to look at some of the local wildlife and finally makes his way to the hotel. And like every good horror game, the door locks behind you. Looking around, you see that the hotel is in a state of disarray and someone partied a little too hard and spilled Kool-Aid all over the floor. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad, but I've stayed at worse Motel 6s. Elizabeth calls you from a nearby speaker and tells you that all the staff, including her father and uncle, have all gone mad and attack anything that makes a sound. She barricaded herself in the attic and tells you that in order to stop them, you have to collect 4 musical cylinders and play them on the harmonium located in the lobby. So with that, we have our main mission. Collect all the cylinders, free Elizabeth, and stop her crazy ass family, so she can finally sing reggae. You find the first cylinder in the hotel's chapel. What? Your local hotel doesn't have one? Before this, however, you hear a cry for help on the other side of a door. A man named Henry Hughes is trapped on the other side. Thomas tries to break the door down, but unfortunately forgot to take his Flintstone vitamin gummies this morning and can't get it open. Henry is then taken against his will to an unknown location. After this, you make your way to the basement and navigate to the outside, but not before encountering the enemies of this game. Blind people. Yep, these cloth-wearing idiots are the main antagonists of this game. They can't see you, so they detect you via sound.
Did someone say something?
When you're near one, you can hold your breath to avoid detection, but once they detect you, you can try to run, but these enemies are more aggressive than a Karen is to an underpaid fast food employee. Anyways, after getting out of the basement, you find yourself outside again. After exploring for a bit, you make your way towards what every good hotel has, a graveyard. Remember, if your local hotel doesn't have a graveyard and a chapel, then it's clearly not up to code. Anyways, you find a gravestone with the name Prudence Williams, Elizabeth's mother. Oh yeah, she's dead. Did I forget to mention that? Thomas is then spotted, smelled? And decides now is a good time to see if there's fall damage. Luckily for him there isn't, but there is another kind of damage. You then navigate your way through the hotel's mine shaft. You get out and enter the hotel's main garden where you see some kind of ritual taking place. And it looks like Elizabeth's father, Isaac, has listened to too much metal and is now burning people's faces off. Anyways, after going through a maze of enemies, you find a device called the photonic modulator. A device that, when used, emits a sound that stuns all enemies around you. After finally finding a way to defend yourself, you finally make your way back to the ground floor of the hotel. You can also find the second cylinder nearby, but first, you have to solve a puzzle, which I solved using my 300 IQ gamer brain. Before we resume, however, I'm going to take this time to explore some of the backstory up before Thomas got to the hotel. Cause you're probably wondering why everyone is blind and why they attack everything that makes a noise. Well, it all starts with Isaac's father, Jebediah Williams. In a shipwreck on his island, he finds a caged siren, a bird-like creature from Greek mythology that is said to be half bird, half woman. He learns about the power of the siren's song and wants to use it to shipwreck more ships onto his island so he can plunder them of all their treasure. He forms a cult called the Quiet Ones in hopes of controlling the creature's powers and also harnessing it. Isaac then proposes the idea of having his wife Prudence learning the siren song to see if it would have the same effect. Jebediah gives them their blessing and Prudence becomes the main attraction of the Sker Hotel. The hotel is very successful, that is, until Prudence dies from the infamous being a mom disease. Without Prudence singing the siren's song, the hotel starts to go under, so Isaac tries to get his daughter Elizabeth to sing the song in hopes of getting guests back to the hotel. However, she finds out about the siren and her father's plan, so she refuses to sing the song. At one point, the hotel gets so desperate, it starts killing its guests and looting their dead bodies. Isaac then has the idea to use the siren's recordings to see if they would have the same effect.
There must be some other way, some method of using my recordings. But how to focus the effects without a singer to wield its intent?
and decides to use the hotel's guests as their test subjects. Through his experiments, he finds out that prolonged exposure to the siren's song makes subjects much more suggestible. He separates the siren's song into 4 cylinders to make it safer to experiment with. He decides to test all 4 cylinders at once on a larger scale, using the hotel staff as test dummies on the hotel's dress rehearsal before the grand reopening. Elizabeth learns about her father's plans, so she starts working on a counter melody to hopefully counteract the effects of the song.
I sit at these keys day after day, night after night, trying to compose some form of counterpoint, some form of countersong to the honeyed lament of that creature.
She finds out pretty quickly, however, that she cannot do this alone. So, she has 4 musicians, including Thomas, to write a part of the counter melody.
I want you to know that I've arranged for these fragments of the siren song to be dispatched to 4 composers. Your locket to go to my dearest Thomas. With his help and theirs, we shall come up with a means to counter the power of the song my father so desperately seeks to control.
The night of the dress rehearsal comes, however, and Elizabeth sings her part of the siren song, which I'm guessing went as well as combining country with rap, as this makes all the staff, including Isaac and his brother Abraham, go insane and start attacking each other. The song, however, doesn't seem to have an effect on Elizabeth, so she skedaddles herself into the attic. This results in everyone becoming slaves to the siren song, and anyone who comes to the hotel is forced to join the madness. Okay, so where were we? Oh, right. So we go back to the ground floor, and Elizabeth tells us if we want to reach her, we have to get to the first floor first. In order to do this, we need to solve a beer tap puzzle, which I totally didn't guess on. After taking a secret ladder up to the first floor, we get a call from Elizabeth telling us that in order to get to the second floor, we have to find 4 missing pieces of the family crest. And while we're down here, we run into our old friend Henry, and the hotel is kind enough to put him on a diet regimen, and it's going great for him. After finding all the crest pieces, we make our way to the second floor, where Elizabeth tells us to be on the lookout for her uncle Abraham. We meet Abraham, who turns out to be a Mr. X cosplayer, and we defeat him by luring him into a room with speakers that places one weakness: 2010 pop. Anyway, get a key from him, click the next cylinder, and make our way up to the attic, where we finally meet Elizabeth, who, got 2021's virus. Unfortunately, Elizabeth's dad catches us trying to respect her and throws us down in the basement. While we're down here, we learn that being blind gives you teleportation powers and are able to click the final cylinder. Before we can leave the basement, though, Isaac decides to show us the mail collection, kidnaps us, and ties us to a chair. Anyways, Isaac tries to peer pressure us into drinking alcohol until Elizabeth's dog shows up to tell us that alcohol is the devil's juice and is able to distract the blindies. Heh. Blindies. Sounds like a band your grandpa would make up. So we're able to get away. While trying to get back to the hotel, we come across their meat locker that leads us back to the ground floor via ladder. We have one last encounter with Isaac, and we decide to play the world's deadliest game of red light, green light. We defeat him by playing the exact opposite of metal: Coldplay. After making our way back to the ground floor in the Grand Harmonium, we meet up with Elizabeth. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, there wasn't Elizabeth in the attic. She tells you to give her the 4 cylinders so she can play the counter melody. Now, there's 2 endings to this game depending on what choice you make. The first ending has you giving the 4 cylinders to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, what are you doing? No, stop! Don't let me take control! No! 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 Yeah, it turns out the siren song made Elizabeth go a little crazy. You descend down an elevator, and Elizabeth orders you to kill the siren underneath the hotel and having Thomas catch the blind. The second option, or the good ending, had you saying no thanks, bro, and having Thomas play the counter melody instead from the 4 music sheets you find around the hotel. You descend the elevator, and instead of killing the siren, free it so it can finally live out its dream of being a Broadway musical star.
Hey there, teenage Baltimore! Don't change that channel, cause it's time for the Corny Collins Show!
And the game ends with Elizabeth looking over her mother's grave. Now I only have one question left. You have a hotel with a garden, chapel, graveyard, and mines, but not a freaking indoor water park?